me, instead of feeling that it's unjust, I would tend to feel that I'm responsible for what happened, and I would feel like there is something in my soul that created, and it's hard to feel it's unjust.
Let me just briefly mention this feeling of responsible. I'm responsible. So, you are not responsible for absolutely everything that's happened in your life. It's impossible for you to be responsible for everything. I'm not saying that you don't have a cause in your soul. I'm saying it's impossible for you to be actually responsible for everything. And the reason why I say this is this. That the moment of your very conception, at the moment of your very conception, a whole heap of damaging emotions entered your soul. And that was totally unavoidable by any act you could have taken at the time. Totally unavoidable. No, so how can you then say that you're responsible for those emotions that entered your soul? What's actually happened on this planet is we often have parents who tell the little child that they are responsible for what the parent is not taking responsibility for. And that's the emotion that prevents a lot, or that's the feeling that prevents a lot of emotion from flowing. Right? See, I need to come to terms with the fact that actually when you treat me in an unloving manner, there is a cause in my soul, if I get hurt or if I feel pain from the event, there is a cause in my soul. But I am not responsible for you treating me in an unloving manner, because you could choose to treat me differently. And you are responsible for that, not me. Does that make sense? So I am not responsible for every unloving thing that happens to me. There may even be a cause in my own soul that attracts the event, but I'm still not responsible for it, because it's the person who chooses to act in an unloving manner who is responsible. And the point of that is that at the moment of conception, your parents chose to act in an unloving manner, in the sense that they chose to not release all of their emotional injuries before you were conceived. And if in the future we had some parents who chose to release all of their emotional injuries before they conceived the child would not have any of the damage that those parents had and now do not have. And so therefore, the child must not be completely responsible for what actually happened. Right? However, there is cause and effect involved. So there is a soul-based thing going on in the soul of the child. The personality of the child is the perfect child to actually help the parent work their way through their emotions to get to a state where they no longer have them. They're the perfect personality for that parent to actually work through their emotional condition. But they're not responsible for how the parent treated them. This parent is. And God's laws all address the causes back to every single factor. Every single factor is accounted for in all of God's laws. In fact, there's a statement you'll find in the Paget messages that say the wheels of God's laws grind with exceedingly tight tolerances. And what they imply is that you can't get away with anything. It will always be attributed to the actual cause. See, the law of cause and effect also affects us in this way, and that is, whatever happens around me, remember, and if I'm involved, there is a cause within me. And if I choose to deny the cause and choose to act in an unloving manner, then the effect is going to, of what I create, is also going to be attributed to me. So, for example, let me give an example. A parent, maybe a mother or something like that, when she was a child, was abused sexually. She has a baby daughter. The parent does not deal with the emotion. She does not address the emotion inside of herself of the abuse. In other words, the fear that she has and the sadness and grief that she has and the terrible effect it's had on her psychology and so forth. She chooses to deny all of such things. As a result of the denial of all of such things, the child is totally exposed to potential perpetrators abusing her. Now, this is actually a loving thing. If you as a parent do not love your child enough to actually deal with your baggage, then what other possible reason could you ever have for dealing with your baggage? Do you understand what I mean? If the love of your child isn't a large enough reason for you to deal with your baggage, what is ever going to be a large enough reason? I suggest nothing is going to be larger than that reason. And see, this is the thing we need to also consider, is that the mother, the child may be abused, but the actual unloving damage that's been done to the child, it was not only the perpetrator that caused it, it's also the mother. And it will be attributed to her. Her unloving behaviour of choosing to not release the damage will be attributed to her because of the damage that's now been done to the child as a result of her choice. Do you understand? The law of cause and effect will actually mean that mum will actually have law of compensation issues to deal with the fact that she did not address what had happened to her and therefore caused her child to have the same experience. She was a part cause of her child having the same experience. Not the total cause, because obviously the perpetrator was a large part of the cause, was he not? So he has the primary responsibility, but mum also is attributed the responsibility. There are many women in the spirit world who have yet to exit the hells for one reason only. And you know what it is? That they refuse to accept the responsibility of their own child being abused and their denial of their own abuse. That's the only reason why they're there. They refuse to accept that because they didn't release what they could have chosen to release, that this event occurred. They refuse to accept their part of the responsibility.